On this day in 1982, comedian and actor John Belushi was found dead at the age of 33 in his bungalow at the Chateau Marmont in Los Angeles. A larger-than-life talent, Belushi rose to fame as an original cast member of Saturday Night Live and became a comedy icon through films like Animal House and The Blues Brothers. His sudden passing, later attributed to a drug overdose, sent shockwaves through Hollywood. The image captures the moment his body was transported to the LA coroner's office, marking the tragic end of a career that burned brilliantly but far too briefly. During the 19th century, newspaper advertisements for the sale of enslaved individuals were a grim reflection of a society built on human bondage. These ads, often placed in major publications and local gazettes, describe enslaved men, women, and children as commodities, listing their age, skills, physical condition, and even temperament. Some were sold as field laborers, others as household servants, and many families were torn apart as individuals were auctioned separately. The language of these ads, reducing human lives to mere property transactions, stands as a chilling testament to the extreme of slavery in America before its abolition in 1865. In 1991, Soviet serial killer Andrei Chikatilo was taken to the crime scene to reenact his final murder. Known as the Rostov Ripper, Chikatilo terrorized the USSR for over a decade, brutally murdering at least 52 victims, mostly women and children. During the reenactment, he coldly demonstrated how he lured, attacked, and killed his victims, showing no remorse. His trial was one of the most shocking in Russian history, with his crimes exposing deep flaws in Soviet-era law enforcement. In 1994, he was executed with a single gunshot to the head. In 1984, 13-year-old Ryan White was diagnosed with AIDS after contracting the virus from a contaminated blood transfusion. At a time when misinformation and fear surrounded the disease, Ryan became a national symbol in the fight against AIDS-related discrimination. When he tried to return to school in Kokomo, Indiana, he faced intense backlash. Hundreds of parents and teachers petitioned to ban him, and his family endured threats, including a bullet fired into their home. Forced to leave town, Ryan and his mother relocated to Cicero, Indiana, where he was welcomed with support. Until his death in 1990, Ryan worked tirelessly to educate the public about AIDS, leaving behind a legacy of awareness and compassion that helped change public perceptions of the disease. In 1953, a young Brigitte Bardot made a stunning appearance at the Cannes Film Festival, capturing the attention of photographers and audiences alike. Just 18 years old, she was still at the beginning of her career, but her radiant beauty and effortless charm hinted at the stardom that lay ahead. Among the festival's distinguished guests was Hollywood legend Kirk Douglas, who was photographed alongside Bardot, adding to the glamour of the event. These candid moments from Cannes showcase Bardot before she became an international icon, embodying the spirit of 1950s cinema and the golden age of the French Riviera. In the 1890s, a young Karl Stormer roamed the streets of Norway with a hidden camera, discreetly capturing candid moments of everyday life. His photographs provide a rare and unposed glimpse into the daily routines, fashion, and expressions of people at the turn of the century. Unlike the stiff, formal portraits of the era, Stormer's images feel alive, streetgoers mid-stride, casual conversations, fleeting smiles. These snapshots stand as an invaluable visual record, preserving the essence of a world long past, seen through the eyes of an observant young photographer. Sparkles. Before becoming a household name, Jamie Presley was already turning heads in the late 1990s. With her striking looks and undeniable charisma, she quickly rose from modeling to acting, landing roles that showcased her talent and comedic timing. This era marked the beginning of her Hollywood journey, setting the stage for her breakthrough performances in both film and television. Whether gracing magazine covers or lighting up the screen, Presley's presence in the late 90s was a glimpse of the stardom to come. Nestled in the rugged wilderness near Skwentna, Alaska, Rainy Pass Lodge stood as a remote outpost in the vast frontier. In the 1950s, your great-grandparents served as its caretakers, enduring harsh winters and breathtaking solitude. The lodge, known for its role as a stopping point for hunters, trappers, and early adventurers, embodied the spirit of old Alaska. With little more than a fireplace for warmth and the endless wilderness as company, they lived a life few could imagine, one of resilience, self-reliance, and an intimate connection to the land. John Smith, a Chippewa Indian from Minnesota, became a legend for his remarkable longevity. Living near Cass Lake, he claimed to be 137 years old before his death in 1922. Known as the oldest Native American, or wrinkled meat, by locals, his deeply lined face told the story of a life spanning generations of change. Despite skepticism about his exact age, his presence in historical records suggests he lived well over a century. This 1915 photograph captures a man whose life bridged eras, from the early 19th century to the dawn of the modern age. In 1953, a young Brigitte Bardot dazzled Venice with her effortless elegance, embodying the rising allure of European cinema. Captured during a visit to the historic city, she was joined by Hollywood legends Kirk Douglas and Errol Flynn, two icons of the silver screen. This moment reflects an era where Hollywood and European cinema intertwined, creating timeless images of beauty, charm, and star power against the romantic backdrop of Venice. In 1991, Texas Governor Ann Richards and civil rights leader Barbara Jordan were photographed together in Austin, embodying the power and progress of women in American politics. Richards, known for her wit and advocacy, was a trailblazing governor, while Jordan, the first black woman from the South elected to Congress, was a champion of justice and equality. Their meeting symbolized a shared commitment to public service, diversity, and the relentless pursuit of change in Texas and beyond. During the Japanese occupation of Java, 1942 to 1945, the Imperial Army adopted a different approach compared to their brutal rule in other parts of Southeast Asia. Seeking to win local support, especially from the Muslim population, they presented themselves as allies against Dutch colonial rule. These rare photographs, discovered in the Dutch National Archives, depict Japanese officers dressed in traditional Javanese Muslim attire, wearing sarongs and pisai, a cap associated with Islamic identity. This visual adaptation was likely part of Japan's broader propaganda effort to gain trust and cooperation from local leaders, particularly in nationalist and religious circles. While Japan ultimately exploited Java's resources and workforce, their strategy of aligning with Islam remains a lesser-known aspect of the occupation. The identities and fates of these individuals remain a mystery, but the images stand as historical evidence of wartime diplomacy through cultural assimilation. On this day in 1969, Jim Morrison, the legendary frontman of The Doors, arrived in court to face charges of indecent exposure and public profanity. The charges stemmed from a controversial performance in Miami earlier that year, where Morrison allegedly exposed himself on stage, an accusation that led to his arrest and a high-profile trial. The case became one of the most infamous moments in rock history, symbolizing the clash between countercultural rebellion and conservative America. Despite inconsistent witness testimonies, Morrison was convicted in 1970 and sentenced to jail, though he remained free on appeal. His legal troubles weighed heavily on him, and in 1971, he left for Paris, where he died under mysterious circumstances at the age of 27. Today, the Miami incident remains a defining chapter in Morrison's turbulent and iconic legacy. In 1963, at the height of his stardom, Steve McQueen was photographed alongside his wife, Neal Adams, showcasing the couple's undeniable chemistry. McQueen, known for his rebellious charm and on-screen intensity, had married Neal in 1956, long before he became the King of Cool. Their relationship was passionate but tumultuous, shaped by McQueen's rising fame, love for fast cars, and unpredictable temperament. Neal, a talented actress and dancer, stood by him through his early struggles and eventual superstardom. However, their marriage ended in 1972 amid McQueen's infidelity and personal demons. Despite their separation, Neal remained one of the people who knew McQueen best, later writing a memoir detailing their years together. This photo captures them in their golden era, before Hollywood, fame, and excess took their toll. During World War II, Native American warrior Joseph Medicine Crow fulfilled the 4 traditional tasks required to become a war chief among the Crow people, an honor rarely achieved in modern times. Born in 1913 and raised with the stories of his warrior ancestors, Medicine Crow fought in Europe as a scout for the U.S. Army. In battle, he completed all 4 warrior deeds. He touched an enemy without killing him, took an enemy's weapon in combat, led a successful war party, and, in a daring feat, stole 50 horses from a German SS camp, riding away while singing a traditional Crow war song. After the war, he became a respected historian and was later awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2009 for his contributions to history and culture. His legacy as the last Crow war chief remains an inspiring testament to bravery and tradition. Through the raw and evocative photography of Joseph Koudelka, the lives of Roma communities in the 1960s and 1970s were captured with remarkable intimacy and depth. His black-and-white images document a vibrant yet often marginalized culture, offering a counterpoint to the misrepresentations that had long shaped public perception. Koudelka, a Czech photographer, traveled extensively across Eastern Europe, immersing himself in Roma settlements. His work portrays moments of joy, hardship, music, and resilience, preserving a way of life that was rapidly changing. These haunting and poetic images would later be compiled into Gypsies, 1975, one of the most significant photographic studies of Roma communities. His ability to capture the soul of a people, free from clichés and stereotypes, solidifies his legacy as one of the great documentary photographers of the 20th century.